Hi everyone, welcome to the Opto onboarding video. Today we'll walk you through getting set up with your Opto app. All right, so let's get started. Here you'll add basic information about your account, address of choice, and just here, if you'd like to review the terms and conditions, there are hyperlinks here. You can select those and click Create Account. So this page explains an overview of what Opto is all about. So Opto is different from other personal finance apps because we really focus on your goals in the short and medium term and try to help you think proactively about what you're setting aside money for. We try to keep it simple so you can focus on making better decisions that align with what matter to you. So we'll start by having you set your first goal. Then we'll have you briefly estimate your high-level monthly income and expenses. And then lastly, we'll go into the real fun of it, which is focusing on what you want to do with the rest of the money left over in a given month. So let's get started. Here you'll mention some of your goals and what you're hoping to get out of your time while using Opto. And then we'll just briefly want to know how you came to find out about Opto. Great. And this page, as mentioned, we want you to think about what matters to you to save up towards so that we will start. So for that reason, we'll have you start by setting your first goal. And goals can be anything from buying a new car to even setting aside some extra money for something you want to treat yourself to, like maybe a new pair of sneakers. It's completely up to you on what you want to consider a goal. So you can click, let's set your first goal. And for this example, we'll use wedding in Boston as an example. If you don't know exactly what you want to start with, you can click here. Here are some suggested savings goals or debt paydown goals. One note is that we already have an emergency savings goal included, so you do not need to use that for this example here. So try to especially think of a really fun one that excites you. Because this is a wedding, this is a savings goal. If you know the exact amount that your goal will cost, you can add that here. If you don't, we've included a plugin with ChatGPT, and we encourage you to use this as a thought partner in getting suggestions and breaking down how you might want to think about how much a goal might cost. Keep in mind, these are only suggestions, so it would just use it as a source of inspiration. Let's say I want to say, how much would a weekend trip to Boston be? I'll send the message. And while it's loading here, you'll notice that when it does load, this answer will give you a breakdown. So I'll just briefly review what different cost factors it considered and the range that it gave me. And then I'll use that information to decide how much I actually want to set for the goal. So you can see here, it's all about flights, accommodations, transportation, etc. And so let's say I reviewed this, I've made some adjustments based on my own personal spending decision and considering the range that they gave. And I decided to ultimately put $1,200 towards it. Then finally, you of course want to choose when this goal you'd like to be achieved. And you'll say, show me how to hit my goal. This page here is an illustrative example to help you understand what is really feasible. So you can see that based on the amount I set and the target date, I have to save roughly $150 per month and save that much over 8 months to get to my goal. You can adjust this here to increase the number of months. You can see that the cost goes down proportionally. And again, this is just an illustration. We know that you'll likely have more than one goal at a time. So later in the app, you can decide exactly how much you want to set towards each goal each month. This is just help you get excited and thinking about your goals. You can set more goals, but for now, we'll just jump to the next portion of the onboarding. Great. So now we're going into kind of the meat of it. And here's our Opto approach. So you'll estimate how much you're making on a typical month and income. We'll have you ballpark recurring necessary expenses, and then we'll be left with what's remaining to spend or save each month. So there are 3 general categories that you can allocate this towards. You can set it to fun money, which is like eating out and all subscriptions and fun things you might want to do. You can allocate money towards savings goals. And then you can also set aside money to be generous. And we're big believers that if you have an abundance mindset, you always feel like you have at least a little bit to give back. So let's get started. This page will just start with savings where you're at today. This is pretty high level. It doesn't need to be exact. And you can always connect accounts later. So between the savings buckets and investments buckets, you'll add how much you have. So for savings, especially something you might have in a savings account, so let's say $500, And then for investments, we want you to think about non-retirement savings. And these are probably things you have in the stock market, maybe through an app like Robinhood, just any investments that you can easily access relatively quickly and easily in the case of an emergency. So I'm just going to ballpark a number there. And finally, we have this other category. We know that there might be types of investments and savings that we don't cover in these two categories. So use this as a catch-all bucket. Next, we'll switch to your monthly post-tax income. The reason we're focusing on post-tax is because that's effectively the amount of money you'll have coming into your bank account each day. We encourage you to take a minute to go check out your bank statement if you can, just to make sure you have a really accurate understanding of how much money you're actually bringing home into your bank account each day. If you don't know the post-tax number, we have linked a calculator here. Again, with taxes, you should always consult an expert, but this can give you a rough sense of how much you might expect to take home if you only know your pre-tax number. Most importantly, there are different types of categories that we've listed here for types of monthly income. For this exercise, it doesn't matter as much if it comes from or which category you list under. The most important thing is that after you fill all these out, this monthly total income does represent on a typical month how much income you're bringing home post-tax that's hitting your bank account and that you don't need to save up for taxes. We also know that you might have non-monthly income sources like let's say a bonus. So we have created this option for you to add that here as well. And you can choose the frequency. And most importantly, when you expect that next non-monthly income to hit, because then we'll take this next payment date and we'll take the frequency and we'll start to bake that into your budget as well. Once you're done here, you go hit next and you'll come to the expenses. So this is where we're going to encourage you to really think about what is really a necessary monthly expense for you. This might vary person to person, but we really encourage you to think about like what is truly necessary to live and work and function day to day. You can skip any of these that are not relevant to you, but we just started with some basic ones that most people might face. And then if you want to add any other ones, let's say you have a pet or something, you can add that here. So a subscription like Netflix, while it's predictable and monthly, but it might not be a true need, so we don't want you to necessarily put that here. But if you have a subscription that's monthly, let's say for medication that you know you need every month, that might be a good one to include as well. So we encourage you to consider adding enough detail that this covers most major monthly expenses. You can go into as much detail as you want, but it's also okay if you don't catch every single need expense. We just want to make sure you're roughly in the right ballpark on how much you think will come out of your bank account each month from a needs perspective. So once you've gotten to that total, then we'll get to the fun part. So you have your monthly income here, and then again, you have your regular monthly needs and expenses that are coming out. Then you'll divide up this number here into those three categories we talked about before between fun money, savings, and generosity. All right, let's go to that page. So you can see here, this is where you're going to do that exercise of dividing up the remainder. What we've already pulled in is the goal that you set up at the beginning. You can always adjust these later in the process, and you can actually adjust that number right here now. So the most important thing from this page is we really want you to think about how much in a given month once you've taken care of necessary expenses, do you want to be putting towards different savings and types of goals that you have. So let's say I want to set aside 100 for emergency savings each month. For retirement savings, we've added this in case your employer, let's say your employer isn't doing an employee-sponsored retirement account, such as a 401k. You can also make note to yourself that you do want to be setting aside money specifically for retirement here. And again, we especially encourage you to think about this if your employer isn't helping to sponsor one of those programs. And then finally, let's say in addition to saving up for the wedding, let's say every month I want to set aside some extra money towards other goals, which I'll allocate each month as it wraps up and I know how much I have left over. And we've added, again, a line item for generosity because we believe it can help you feel like you have an abundance mindset and feel really good about your money. Then the last number I'll enter here is going to be my fun money. So again, the most important thing is this fun money here is what we're going to really have you be looking at on a regular basis to know once you've set aside money for savings and goals, once you've taken care of necessary expenses, this is the budget you're really trying to stick within every month to make sure you're still able to save up and not go over your expenses. And last final note is just make sure this needs to add up to 0 too. So you can adjust these accordingly to make sure it totals to 0. And with that, we are done with the onboarding process, and we have another video that will walk you through everything that the app has, all the great functionality that we have. Just a reminder, again, we are in beta mode, so we really, really would love any feedback you have, big or small suggestions. We're also happy to always talk through anything with you if you have any questions or challenges, and just look forward to having you as a part of the Opto community. Thank you so much.